All right, calling the meeting to order. Reggie, would you please read this one, Chelsea?
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by a notice mailed to the Hopewell Valley News and the Trenton Times, posted on a bulletin board in Borough Hall, and filed with the Borough Clerk as required by law.
Allegiance to the
United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor Kennedy is not here. Mr. Buda,
Here.
Mr. Fuller,
Yeah.
Ms. Hook,
Yes.
Ms. Steeler,
Here.
Ms. Weeder,
Here.
Ms. Valenius is not here.
Okay. We have the report of the Director of Public Works and Water and Sewers. Does anybody have any questions on that or comments? Okay. Next, we'll provide an update on the sale of the water system. So we're happy to report that the sale did close on June 30th. All good news, everything went smoothly. The payment was received by the borough. And just to clarify, by law, all debt is required to be paid off first, any water debt, and then after that, any other borough debt. So that will happen over the next few months. Also, we want to encourage everyone to sign up for the New Jersey American Water website. Everyone will be receiving a letter in the mail. Will have their new account information and instructions how to go online. They recommend signing up for any alerts from New Jersey American Water. And, signing up on the website allows you to pay your bills and set up all that important stuff. Next, we're going to work on ordinance number 915. It's the second reading, public hearing continued from June 6th.
June 4th.
June 4th, I'm sorry. All way stop sign at Columbia and the Seminary.
Ordinance 915, amending Chapter 7A, Traffic Schedules, Schedule 7, Stop intersections of the Code of the Borough of Hopewell to establish all-way stop control at the intersection of Columbia Avenue and Seminary Avenue.
If I may, I'd like to just give like a general overview for people who may not have been able to see the study, or that hear about the study, right, and saw the results of the study.
Yes.
Basically, I'm not gonna bury the lead here. We did this stop sign pilot study at the intersection of Columbia and Seminary Avenues. This was done over the course of a 2-day span during rush hour in the morning and in the afternoon. And the conclusion was that there was no significant queuing recorded during the pilot study, basically. And just to give an overview of how we got here, the Greater Mercer Transportation Management Association and the Hopewell Borough Pedestrian Bike Safety Advisory Committee both recommended traffic calming interventions for this intersection. Local residents inquired about installing a stop sign here. Once they reviewed the supporting documents from the GMTMA and PD staff, they collected signatures on the petition in support of the stop sign. Then the borough engineer approved the installation of the stop sign, citing MUTCD guidelines, the previous recommendations for interventions at the location, and the GMTMA and PD staff reports. The borough engaged multiple times with the fire department and EMS regarding the potential stop sign. The Greater Mercer Transportation Management Association did, I'm sorry, am I not loud enough?
I didn't hear what you
The
said.
mic work.
There was no significant what from the study?
There was no significant queuing recorded during the study, which was the main concern for EMS.
Thank you.
These ones work.
Do they work? No, they worked for like a minute, but now they don't. Sorry, I'll be louder.
Oh, no.
So basically, there was no significant queuing there. Prior to the study, we did have the Greater Mercer Transportation Management Association interpret recent traffic counts from earlier this year in March that did suggest pretty overtly that there would not be any queuing there. However, we did follow through with the pilot study, which confirmed what we already knew. Any queuing that was there was actually basically less than 1 vehicle's length. So I don't think we have a lot to worry about here. And that is a general summary of it. I can go into level of service and all things, but I don't think anyone cares about that. So we get the idea, right? Right. Just make sure everyone's aware of what happened.
And I just did want to say that the fire department and EMS service were alerted to the results of the study. Sherry, I don't know if you have any comments from that area. No. Okay.
You don't have the next commissioners meeting is next week, though, so that hasn't been.
Okay,
I would just say that I forward the study as soon as I receive it to Chief Fenton. And if I seem to notify stakeholders in his departments as he saw fit.
Right.
And of course, they have been engaged during the entire process.
okay, so we'll open meeting up to public comment on this ordinance. We'd like to just have comments on this ordinance only. If you have anything else you'd like to discuss, we can discuss that during the next public comment period later in the meeting. We'll come up to the podium and give your name and that you live in Hopewell, if that's the case.
Good evening, my name is Jim Waltman. I live at 33 Columbia Avenue in the borough. I just want to thank the council and staff for bringing this forward. My wife Alicia and I have lived on Columbia Avenue most blissfully for 21 years, but we do see people speeding and the acceleration is really troubling. So I strongly support this measure and again, I'm grateful for the work you do. It's such a pedestrian town. We've got little kids walking to school, little kids walking to the playground. And there's just a lot of kind of hanging peril there. And I think making the four-way stop, the always stop, is a great step towards mitigating that dangerous situation. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jim.
Hi, hello, I'm Alicia Waltman, 33 Columbia Avenue. I also would like to thank you for doing this. This is great. We've been here 20 years, and when my kids were coming up, I was really wishing for this. So I'm so happy that you're doing this with the kids walking to and from school, morning, afternoon, traffic, big cut through street, as you know. And this will really, really improve things. And I'd like to thank you for doing this. And thanks.
I just want to add one more thing from the engineer's report. They did say that the pattern of the traffic, the direction they were going during the different times of day, did indicate that Columbia was in fact being used as a cut through. I know that's not a surprise to most of you, but just to have the confirmation from the engineers.
Bill DeCosmo, 69 North Greenwood Avenue. Just a quick question. Did the town have to pay for this second survey that was done?
Yes.
They did, but the first one was through Mercer County?
The traffic counts were done by the Delaware Valley Regional Planning Commission, so we did not pay for that. They do that throughout their region, which we are included in.
Okay, and the fire department and EMS both got the report that
Yes.
that came out? They
Yes.
did. Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? Hi,
Hello,
can you state your name, please?
my name's John Flynn. I live on 28 Columbia Ave. I came into the meeting a little late, but I inferred that the ordinance passed for the.
This is
Oh,
the
okay.
hearing now. We're
Oh, okay,
deciding.
so I would like to concur with the previous people up here and state my support for a four-way stop. I think it's a sensible change for the town. We get a lot of speedsters coming through, as you probably are aware. Also, our front yards are quite small on that street, so not only the perception of speed is higher, but also the likelihood of small kids being just running off into the street is a little bit higher. So any measure we can take, I think is a good measure. And I don't think this is going to be something that would have major downsides. Personally, I don't think it would have major downsides for the emergency staff. So yeah, I agree with these people, and I think we should implement it.
Thank you.
I think you should be required to bring your baby to all the meetings.
Yeah.
When you're talking about kids running out into the street, I remember that 18-month mark was when my older daughter was just like she would just disappear. I don't know, that's the turning point, we're like, oh my God, I need to always be wearing running shoes.
Hi, Liz Ferris to Cosmo, 29 Columbia Avenue. I just wanted to say thank you. Hopefully I won't cry this time now. Thank you so much for taking the time to put forth that study. It was obviously really meaningful for all of us. Didn't make it till last month's meeting, but in watching it back, I just really loved what Tom DeLessio said about the way in which this measure could really support the livability of the town, or just be a springboard towards supporting that. Because it seemed like in the previous meeting, there was some concern, like, why Columbia? Why not other parts of town and this sort of thing? I mean, I think our street is unique in that it encompasses residential homes, commercial businesses, public services, public space. Like it's a really unique street, even though it's not that long. And so it impacts many people. And I think for so many of us that live here, we prize and are looking for the capacity to be pedestrians, whether it's on the sidewalk or on a bike or like by car. I know it's been stated, like, I think every day I have to like stop and you're like managing who's going because there's just not enough space for like parked cars and cars passing each other. So I wanted to speak to that. I know that like metrics drive and data, like they drive so much of what happens in our world. But all of these, anecdotal lived experiences are, in my mind, just as important, if not more so, because, we're the ones who live it. So, and I would just love to be able to see this happen. And then it's just been so encouraging to like engage in these meetings and this talk of, I'm going to butcher the committee, like pedestrian, bike and safety. You got it. I feel like there's another word, but it's been cool for people. I feel like people have been like, oh, we should have more of this happening, and there are other problem areas, whether it's related to Hopewell 57 or, I don't know. I just think about how the inn is coming. That'll probably impact our street and others as well. So we just really appreciate your attention to this and hope that it can just, encourage even more of that from both the community aspect and from government as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to point out that like the stories and the anecdotal evidence and where you feel unsafe is very important, because we are committed to Vision Zero and a safe systems approach. And a huge part of that is prevention and being proactive. We're not waiting for someone to get hit by a car. We're trying to avoid it altogether. So yes, if you feel unsafe somewhere, that's good to know, and that's important information.
And I also want to make a comment that there is some discussion of having to remove a tree to put up one of the stop signs. So I'm going to encourage, our engineer Candace and the people that she works with to help see if there's a way around that, because we're losing a lot of trees in town for age and other factors. And so if there's a way to save this tree and maybe move the stop sign a little bit in one direction or another, I'm all for that. So that's my.
Perhaps I'm mistaken. I thought the tree was not doing well anyway.
Actually, you should go look at it. It's doing really well.
Oh, okay. I didn't look at it.
I know. It took me a while to go and look at it. It's a Bradford pear, which is not anybody's favorite. And there was a limb that fell off of it, but it's in full bloom. It's like a thriving, beautiful, full of leaf tree right now. So
I can attest.
yeah, so it'll last, I don't know how many more years, but if there's a way to work around having to do anything to it.
Yeah, the tree's healthy.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd like to make a comment. So this is not the newest council member here. This is the biggest thing I'm going to be voting on so far. And I just wanted to say that I really appreciated having a kind of what I call the digestion period between the first reading and then that month. And I'm hearing both sides of this issue, which I didn't think there were both sides until I really heard. But then coming back now, because I started to write, I'm always on that road, going to the pharmacy or whatever and post office. And I really paid attention. And some of the things that's interesting with testimony when they said, oh, look how close the EMT is to the corner. And it's really not that close. It's like 4 or 5 cars. And then I always knew there wasn't parking on that side of the street, but I didn't know there wasn't parking on part of it where Sherry lives. So I said, wait a minute now, so now that's a different thing about turning and getting around. I also spoke with some people, that belong to the fire department. Not intentionally, we were on another meeting on a project I'm on. And it was just nice getting that kind of information and really just having more. So I think, that's really important, but I want to add one other thing. I think this is the first step, the stop sign. I think the second step, and I think Deb, maybe you mentioned it, and maybe Kristen, you did, of maybe having a no turn, left turn for those cut through people that are going through.
That's what
So
I want.
that's another thing, but I'm just thinking that this, and I think what Tom Gillespie said was so true, that sometimes we forget the real things. We love the livability of Hopewell Borough.
Right.
You know, that no turn was actually a recommendation from PVSAT.
And I just intuitively agree. All right, any other comments on this? All right, can I have a motion to close comment period, please?
Alan,
Second?
Second.
Okay.
we were good online, right, Jerry?
No hands raised.
Okay, thank you for checking that. All right, can we have a motion to adopt?
Motion to adopt.
I'll second.
Mr. Buda?
Yes.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Ms. Hupp?
Abstain.
Ms. Steeler?
Yes.
Ms. Weaver?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can I just say, I just want to say one more thing. It's gonna be brief, but I really wanted to thank the DeCosmo Barris family for all the hard work that you put into supporting and improving traffic safety in the borough. These efforts don't always go smoothly, and your patience and perseverance have been appreciated. And I really hope that you can convey to your children that you made this happen. And especially when those things are their teachers like, oh, get it, mom and dad, you made the stop sign happen. But it's important that they see that and they see the work you're doing. So thank you so much.
All right, so now we have a presentation on participatory budgeting. And go up there.
About public comment.
No,
We did.
I switched it. Sorry.
No, I didn't go to the last minute.
Give me a 30 seconds here.
I have a handout. If
Yeah, for us, would be
I can
nice.
approach the bench.
So much.
Thank you. Still working.
I want to thank you all and Mayor Kennedy and you all for letting me come and spend time with you today. And I want to thank Alex Feldman, who is a resident here, who helped make this happen and connect me and Mayor Kennedy. So I really want to appreciate the time you're giving me. And I really hope that this is the start of many conversations, and I'm very excited. Just the stop sign conversation has gotten me very excited. My name is Nisha Thompson. I live in Somerset County, and I'm the New Jersey Advocacy Manager for Participatory Budgeting Project. If you can go to the next slide.
We're trying.
Participatory Budgeting Project is a nationwide organization. We've been around since 2009. We've been in cities all over the country promoting and implementing participatory budgeting. Next slide. And we do campaigns advocacy, we do research, and we do technical assistance. So helping people actually implement the process of participatory budgeting. What is participatory budgeting? It is a democratic process in which community members directly decide how to spend part of a public budget. What does that mean? We're going to get into it. But before that, they started in Porto Alegre, Brazil in 1989. A new party came into power and they decided to create a participatory democracy process so that they can improve their
town. They actually helped implement sewage systems, water quality systems, all these things that didn't exist before through this process. So it has since spread all over the world and including the US. Next slide. And what is it besides a real mouthful? So I'm going to say PB to get through it without passing out. And so the first step, if you go back one slide. So the first step is you bring together a steering committee of community members. There's various ways to do it. And they write a rule book. What are the rules around the money? You work with the city and whoever is the power around the money, you work with them. And you write who gets to vote, who gets to submit ideas, who gets to participate, who do you center in the process. For instance, in Seattle, the rule was whoever works, learns, plays, prays, can submit ideas and vote in the process. So there are no citizenship requirements. There are residency requirements if you want that. You don't need to have that. So the community decides who gets to participate in these different parts. And it is usually with the facilitation guidance of the city or whoever is holding the money. And they write a rule book. So it's an actual guidebook that is used to report the entire process. Next slide. And then you do idea collection. So you have meetings, you have online tools, participants come, they give ideas. And a lot of it is just kind of tabling, asking people for ideas. It depends on the themes around the money. If it's capital projects or programs, you would set the rules on what kinds of ideas people can give, because everyone's going to ask for potholes being filled. And usually that is not what participatory budgeting does. So you have to kind of bring people in, but that is usually what happens during the brainstorm. You get a lot of ideas coming in and you take all the ideas. Next step, develop proposals. A group of community members or volunteers actually write out the proposals. So the point of participatory budgeting is what people vote on gets funded, but that means it has to be a feasibility check, the budget check, working with the actual implementers has to be done before the vote. So this is community members actually working with the departments and writing out the proposals, going through all those ideas, throwing out the ones that are not feasible, keeping the ones that are, and actually writing them out for a ballot. Next slide. Then you vote. The ballot is made and it's usually like, 10, 12 ideas, depending on the size of the pot. And that is what people vote on. Next slide. You fund the winning projects. Next slide. And we actually advocate that you evaluate the process to do it again. See where it worked, see where it didn't. Next slide. What kinds of budgets? If you can spend it, you can do PB with it. Next slide. These are all the different types of money we have seen being used by all the different cities. It's not all the cities that have done it, but we have seen a lot of different types of budgets being used with participatory budgeting. So it doesn't really matter the regulations around the budget, you can still do participatory budgeting with it. Next slide. We kind of promote certain ideas to have really successful processes. Money that matters. Obviously it depends on the size of the town or etc., but it should be significant. You should be able to do something important with the money. We always want community led, advocacy for this, and inclusive design. Everyone should be able to participate, focused outreach and equity criteria. Next slide. We want this process to always be accessible. Make sure ballots are in different languages, make sure they're, the fonts are big, everything's explained, all these things, inclusive and equitable, centered lived experience and community design making, field research, and learn by doing. Next slide. So for something that you all should know is that there is a little bit of an operations cost to do this because you are running meetings, you are talking to people, and there are roles and responsibilities in a community process. There's project management, there's outreach, communication, facilitation, because people are going to come together and they're going to have ideas. and they're going to want to talk them through and have conflicts around them. And, any kind of additional support so that people can come together, give ideas, go through the proposals, write the proposals, etc. Next. But there's no one size fits all formula. We've seen this done in all kinds of ways. It really is a way to be creative. It really is a way to kind of do something different. So there's really no rules so much as what makes sense for your community. Next slide. Where they do PB, there people are more likely to vote, increased civic engagement, a lot more collaboration, funding redirected to need low-income communities, and participants learn about public finances. Like we've seen it in towns where it's like a sidewalk costs $3 million a mile, and they go, oh my God, you're like, you really learn how budgeting works in the city. Next slide. So participatory budgeting is happening in New Jersey. Hopewell Borough gives $200K in capital funds to their citizens to decide. They've been doing it for 8 years. It funds park projects, street improvements, lots of light improvements, pier improvements. Newark just finished a process for youth. They gave $50,000 to their youth from 5 to 23. 3,800 youth voted. They voted for city cleanup, for flowers, for fruit trees, regular trees, air quality app for each school, and more garbage cans. And these are children. They voted to clean their city. That's a chore. So it was pretty exciting to see that and to see the amount of excitement they had for even this $50,000. And they'll start implementing their projects in the fall. Next. I want to talk about Denver. They gave $2 million in infrastructure funds. They invested in pedestrian safety, community gathering spaces, resources for people experiencing homelessness. They had 4,200 residents participate in 4 areas. Each had their own focus area, so you can limit and focus on one particular neighborhood. They integrate it with their neighborhood planning. So that's how Denver did it. Next slide. Central Falls, Rhode Island started out as a high school project to do $100,000 for extracurricular activities, and then they grew out of the Department of Health to nearly $400,000 to improve conditions to help stay healthy. So they are still doing that. This is, I think, their 2nd year. Mental health campaign, outdoor fitness park, etc. Next slide. Phoenix Union Schools in Arizona actually started this as a civic engagement project for their high school, and they defunded their school officer program and put $1.2 million into PD for their students, teachers, and parents. So they did 3 processes for around school safety. So they were able to actually refocus a lot of the money that they were spending and actually use it in a more useful way with parents and students. So that was they're still doing it, I think. Go on. And I just wanted to put LA in here. I tried to keep the towns a little smaller, but I thought LA is a really good example because it was so creative. They really was like, we're going to do this for reparations, civic justice. So they created repair zones, and they did PB in all these repair zones, focusing on equity for their for their neighborhoods that needed it the most. And they were able to create these not wards, but actually where people needed the money the most. I think there's one more slide on LA. Yeah, winning projects, street medicine program, job readiness program, after school community garden, video and production training. All of that was able to kind of come out of this process, and they're still doing it also. So it's been able to bring the community together. And I always say that because every town is complicated and has a history, no matter how small or no matter how big. And this is an opportunity to do something that can really bring the community together in a creative way to spend money that you have to spend anyway. So I wanted to put it there to say it doesn't have to be a appropriations process. It can actually look at, the town in a new way and structure it in a way that feels like people have a voice, Even if they thought they didn't, you know. Next slide. Oh, that's it. And the next slide is my contact. I kind of rushed through it. So if you have any questions, please let me know.
I have a question. I think this sounds awesome and I love this idea. However, we have very limited resources here. We have a very small staff. How much would your organization be able to assist us with this moving forward?
So we do coaching and we do implementation. We would just have to look at the specifics, so I don't want to give you a number, but we can do full implementation.
Okay.
Which would mean like help facilitate the student committee, help you figure out how to pull together. Like how would you want, like a lot of cities will say, we want this many people who have kids, this many people who are seniors, this many youth, you know, and we would have to look at the size of the budget, et cetera, but like we can do that. We can also do coaching through the staff. If you have a lot of community groups or neighborhood groups, those are actually really good to integrate us well into the process earlier, and we can also help you figure that out. So yeah,
So if we had like volunteers who wanted to really get into this, you could provide training for them. That would be awesome.
Yeah, we do training. We run a New Jersey only learning cohort on participatory budgeting project funded by Robert Johnson Foundation. And then we can do one-on-one coaching as well as implementation.
Yeah, are you guys, like, do we hire you?
You can.
But we don't have to.
You don't have to.
I mean, I think that we would need help with the implementation, so I just,
How
you,
does this work?
yeah, your organization is one that we could pay to help with the implementation.
Yeah.
You're not here out of the goodness of your own heart, even though I do really appreciate what you're bringing us, because we need help with this, but I just want to understand.
So we have a technical assistance team that does government contracting. So they did the full implementation for Seattle. When they defunded their police after George Floyd, they put $20 million into participatory budgeting for community safety. That technical assistance teams ran full implementation for that. And then like for LA, there was coaching, right? So we ran that whole thing. So yes, there is a technical assistance wing that does contracts with cities. The advocacy bucket, which we are kind of the ones that are like getting people to kind of think about PB as an alternative or like as a solution to some problems. So I actually don't do the implementation, but we do have a team that does that. But a lot of people, like PB is not, they don't hire us to do it. So it's not like I don't want to be like, yes, hire us, but you can hire us. It is like something we do. But is it also something like that you can attend a training, and we can do it that way as well?
And that's why you're saying.
There's a lot of things like I will say that because Hopewell is so small, like most of the time a PB process lasts like a year to get through all of it in a bigger context, but because you all have 1,900 residents, it wouldn't be that long, right? So it would be a shorter cycle period. So it would be like a reasonable.
I have one more question, then I'll stop.
Yeah, no, that's what I was gonna say, Jerry, do we need to wait? Are we offline now or?
We're good. We've been online the whole time. Just
Okay,
lost
sorry.
camera.
This is a question for Art and for Brian, that, you know, with the savings that we'll see eventually, since I think why this is an interesting idea, is there, I don't really know how I'm asking this, is there like legally a percentage that we can commit to a process like this, or it, you know, that, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if that is put in a sort of bucket that we can do whatever we want with it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Jerry has a.
Yeah, you would just.
Sorry, Jerry, I didn't mean to-
That's all right.
We're so used to our profession.
That's okay. You would just identify an amount that you feel is appropriate to be part of the process, and that's what it would be. So anything you choose, there's no limit, there's no statutory framework around it.
Yeah, once you decide and put it in the budget, you know, you spend it like any other appropriation.
Okay.
Be any other line
questions
item.
for you guys? All right, Thank you so much, Nisha. This has been great.
So what would the next step be, by the way?
Yeah,
I will follow up with an email to,
Bobby Jerry.
Mayor Ryan and Jerry, and then we can do a call with our team and see. We would need to know what the, like, so there's a pot of money that you would have people vote on and do purchase, like, and then there's the operations fund, like how much money you would want to put away. Or like, you know, if you hire us or if you decide to do it, or, you know, like still need to run the process. So we would help you kind of figure out based on your population and what the budget is and whatever, like what that amount would be. And then we can go from there, yeah. But we would need to know how much money you would put, and we would also want to meet with community groups or neighborhood groups to see like, if I would do this presentation for them, we would want to like work with the community as well to make sure that this is coming and like they'd be interested in it, et cetera.
And would we be able to talk to Freehold to see how they're?
Yes, if it wasn't so close to July 4th, they would probably have come. Like Freehold loves participatory budgeting. The mayor is a big fan. The city councilor, Annette Jordan, she comes to every one of these I do. She'll come and she'll like do it. Yeah, they'll come, absolutely. Because they're like they're a great example of a small town that does it every year. And they're not gonna stop.
Great.
It's been great for their community, yeah. So I can also put you in touch with them.
That'd be great.
Mayor, Kevin and yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Now we'll open up the meeting to public comment. Anybody that wants to make comment, please come up to the podium and state your name. Anybody online, Jerry?
No.
All right, if there's no comments, I'll take a motion to close public comment.
I'll take it.
All right, next, I guess we'll do the council liaison reports. Paul, do you want to start?
Sure. So, we didn't have a senior advisory this month. Also, with the passing of Mel Myers, was funeral today. There is an open seat on that. Sorry, Ben's passing is kind of shocking to me. Anyway. Regarding the accessory dwelling unit and zoning code changes, I did meet with Marina Rabina, who's an architect in Princeton, who's actually done accessory dwelling units in Princeton after taking them to court to allow that to happen. This is why I want to fix the zoning code, so that's not an issue. She actually won the idea to do those. We talked about it in particular, or specifically about the corner lots versus in between and different ways that she has done them. So I have case studies now, references that I can look at to talk about a lot of the issues. And it really is complicated because there seems to be a feeling from a lot of towns that they want accessory dwelling units to look like secondary and just that's the garage and that's the barn, but they don't want them to have a presence that they're another resident. Even though there's been a great tiny home movement, if anybody's been around in the last 10, 15 years, and we do have a housing issue in the United States, and we have an issue with young people trying to afford houses and elderly people trying to not necessarily end up in a nursing home situation, wanting to be taken care of by their loved ones. So there's a lot of things to unpack here. And then I'm doing that first, and then I'm also looking at the zoning code step by step, and forming some type of public meetings as we go. Right, so that's all I have.
Thank you. Sure.
The Shade Tree Committee planted a northern red oak at the school in honor of its 100th anniversary. So you can go visit that. Oak sounds grand, but it's like my height, so it will eventually be something to visit. The EDC had no quorum, but we did have a conversation that Jerry, I'll be asking about the banners across Broad Street, because the ongoing conversation at the EDC and largely in here is that it seems that it's hard to get information out to everybody in a way that's accessible to everybody. So if I asked all 10 of you, how do you get your information about town, I'd get 10 different answers. So just thinking of other ways to get information out to people, and the Broad Street banner was one of them. Maybe a quarterly postcard, taking taking an idea from the rec committee, because everyone gets that in their mailbox and everyone knows when those things are going on. So maybe just a little postcard of things that went around town. That was and then, as Paul mentioned, unfortunately, I have a really sad update from the fire department with the passing of Fire Commissioner Mel Myers and his wife Donna Myers. And if it's okay, I'm just going to read a little remembrance of them. Mel was a dedicated member of the Hopewell community and proudly served the Hopewell Fire Department for more than 30 years. During his time with the department, he served on the board of fire commissioners and was recognized numerous times for his exceptional commitment to emergency services. As an EMS responder, Mel answered more than 2,800 calls throughout his career, leaving a lasting impact on countless lives in our community. His wife, Donna, after returning to New Jersey, she became an active member of the Hopewell Fire Department Ladies Auxiliary, where she proudly served for the past 2 years. Her support and dedication to the department was greatly appreciated. They will both be remembered for their service commitment and unwavering support of the Hopewell Fire Department and the community they cared so deeply about.
Thank you. Any other, Anthony?
Sure. So the Board of Health did not meet in June, so nothing to report from the meeting perspective, but they did mention to me about the availability of a cooling center. You may be aware of the high temperatures. There is a public cooling center available at the municipal building in the township. There should be a second one, that's the Bennington Library. Unfortunately, because of the holiday tomorrow and on Saturday, that's unavailable. So it just draws attention to the fact we have very few options in this area for people whose AC is either non-existent or inadequate where they live. So that's something that we should be thinking about, obviously from a borough perspective, because there are many people with maybe older properties who can't afford the air conditioning. So that was raised by them. I've also been asked to put out the appeal, which I think I'll repeat at every meeting, that if we have candidates for the alternate positions on the Board of Health, be very interested to hear about those individuals. You can email me or any member of the Board of Health to recommend somebody for those positions.
Great, thank you. And just, we did discuss at one point having a cooling center here in the borough.
Right.
So I guess we can look into that further as temperatures keep.
We will continue.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks.
Well,
Would you like to give me the liaison number?
I can give away some reporting. Why is that so weird? So I'll start with traffic stuff first. Obviously, congratulations. We have a stop sign coming at a very important intersection. So that is great news. I had the good fortune to meet with someone who recently graduated with a master's in computer science, who also happens to have a passion for pedestrian and bike safety and wants to volunteer to help us here in the borough. So we were talking about some ideas for projects for this person to work on. One very basic one that I've been intending to do for months now is develop a crosswalk inventory, which is not like the sexiest thing in the world, but is important because I would really like to see some consistency. We have, just the regular parallel lines. We have some continental, and we have new ladders, some are very faded. So I'd really like to have an inventory of which ones are prioritized for being updated and how we can make them all more uniform. So he's going to do that in a way that I would not be able to because I am not tech savvy. So I appreciate the help with that. And we also discussed some other project that he would be able to help us with, with his more sophisticated skills with things like turning movements and lane widths and things like that. We also reached out to the township because the county engineer said that he would be amenable to lowering the speed limit on Princeton Avenue coming into town to 35 miles an hour. Because if you think about it, right there at St. Michael's, it abruptly goes from 25 to 45 and vice versa. So I think that if we could get down to 35, we might have more of a transition and less of that abrupt speeding up to leave and still speeding coming into town. Again, this is in the township, so the township would actually need to pass this resolution and pass it on to the county for this to take effect. They did a speed study there, which determined using the 85th percentile, which I won't get into how stupid it is, that is not warranted, but obviously we are not going to base our decisions off of something as archaic as the 85th percentile that does not provide context for bicyclists and pedestrians using the area. So those are the two main things I think of for bike ped safety. Oh, and I just wanted to thank everyone again who was able to come to the Pride flag raising last month. This was just so fun and exciting, and I think everyone had a really great time, and I hope that we can just do it bigger and better next year. I was also able to attend the Mercer County Equity Gala, which was super fun. If everyone ever gets an opportunity to go, I highly recommend it. And what else was there? Anything else?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
But I'm not sure.
I think there's something else, but I can't remember right now. So yeah, oh, and our friend who had offered to help is unfortunately only in town temporarily while he's waiting to go into some sort of doctoral program. So he was not willing to be appointed to an official role, but we're going to get as much out of him as we can while he's here.
Perfect. All right, thank you. Let's see, on the library side, the board is not meeting again until September, but they are excited to announce that the teen summer intern program has started, and they are going to be able to implement a lot of great activities for teens this summer. So keep your eyes out for the many posts that they put out. The library's done a great job of creating things for kids to do in town, which didn't really exist a couple of years ago. So we're very excited about that. The Recreation Committee has some concerts coming up. The first concert at the gazebo is July 11th. I have to go back at the name because it's a really funny name. The Successful Failures will be playing at 7 o'clock. Also, there is 2 Blauberg band concerts this month. At the train station, which is always very well attended, and they are on July 13th and July 27th. Also, the Recreation Committee has put together a temporary ball back box in front of the basketball hoop. I think Jerry and I are in the process of trying to get an official one, but we have a number of balls in there for kids to just come and use. We modeled it off of Princeton's recreation area, and I'm happy to say that not one has disappeared, which tends to be the case. The kids just come and use them. They've been really good about putting them back in the box. And we're going to see if we can expand that to maybe include some other stuff. And then I guess the other thing is from the Building and Grounds Committee, we are starting to work on getting some sort of air conditioning or mini splits put into the library. They use window units now, which are pretty inadequate, and we're hoping to do some environmentally sound things like mini splits pretty soon, so that the whole summer doesn't go by with them suffering. And that's all I have. Jerry, do you want to do your administrative report now?
Thank you on that last point. There was a storage container en route as we speak, so being should be a UPS ground. Tends to take a bit, but it's going to be here nonetheless. So I did order that for us from Vermont. Just a couple items on safe routes to school. We received the executed agreement from the DOT, and I've begun the engineering process with WSP. That's the firm that we selected a while back to help us through this process. There will be a resolution approving a contract with them formally at our next meeting. As a result of that, tonight's meeting has a first reading of a capital ordinance and a bond ordinance for $775,000. Just to clarify, and I kind of alluded to this in my budget meeting, notwithstanding the fact that we are going to be defeasing all of our debt, in order to make capital purchases, you need capital and bond ordinances. This is fully 100% reimbursable. You'll see that with our paving program with DOT as well. Every year we'll be doing that. So this is not adding long-term debt, it's just what's necessary to make a capital project. Even when we purchase things completely unrelated to this, you're gonna see those type of ordinances. So that's what this ordinance is on the agenda tonight. It accomplishes that goal, it's the first part, and then at the next meeting, we'll approve that. And then this process will, finally be underway. The length of time is not surprising. We knew from the outset, this could be a 2 or 3 year project. It's not something that happens quickly, like our paving programs, but we are moving forward. And this is probably the step we are at now that really is going to catapult this to very visible results shortly.
Jerry, can I just interrupt for 1 minute? And I just want to make sure that everyone's aware that the $750,000 that we're getting the design assistance for is separate from the $1.51 million for implementation. This is in addition to that.
And all of the, bills that and all the work they do have to be reviewed by the state and approved by the state. And then they authorize us to make the payments, out of the ordinance. So it goes through several levels of checks prior to being paid. And it was pretty intense process the last few months of getting this to this point. So that's moving forward. As it relates to a noise ordinance, as a result of some complaints, I've been reviewing the current rules that we have here in the borough. Everybody to this point is technically speaking fully compliant. We've been looking at the ordinances to try to ensure that we can enforce things when they need to be enforced, but also with existing codes with existing site plans as well. It's a difficult thing to enforce noise in general. But we have some options, and hopefully within the next month or two, we'll either have a potential ordinance or a mechanism going forward to try to solve any issues. So everybody's being good neighbors. Our meeting this past month, as a result of the water sale, that closed on our debt defeasance. Brian was involved in that, and we're moving forward with that. Money's been placed in a trust account, interest bearing. So I think we had said about 8 to 10 weeks. Is that what you were thinking for that process to?
Yeah, potentially a little quicker, but maybe
Okay.
around that time frame.
Okay, good. So that's where we're at with that. To relate to the DPW project, we are shooting for a bid opening, a bid award of a bid advertisement of July 29th with an award sometime in August and construction starting in early September. We're working through various issues related to tree protection, asbestos removal, and coordination with our utilities. I've also been working with a council member to explore incentive programs that could benefit businesses in town. We've looked at a couple of draft ordinances, working with legal counsel, and that's in the early stages, and we might have something in the next meeting or to present to you as well. All of those items are listed in significantly more detail in my written report. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to entertain.
All right, thanks for your work on all that. Any questions, anyone? Okay, next, I guess we approve the minutes, right? Okay, so do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Yes.
Second?
You have to specify which ones, the date.
Oh, sorry, June 4th, 2026, thanks, sorry.
Yes, make a motion.
Okay,
I'll second.
okay, all in favor? Is this an aye or is this a,
All in favor?
okay, all in favor? Aye.
I'm abstaining,
Okay,
so we'll be getting this.
right, thank you, Mr. Collins, okay, thank you. All right, next we're going to go, introduce, ordinance number 917.
Ordinance amending section 2-25.4 of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Hopewell entitled Emergency Medical Services and Ambulance Transport Fees.
Jerry, did you wanna go over that, or
Yeah,
yeah, sure thing, I'm not sure.
I can talk to it a little bit. Why they.
Well, I would just say that we got a draft ordinance from EMS who had a series of suggestions that they wanted to change some of the fees and identify some things in a more specific nature in the ordinance. The other part of this is to address what are considered nuisance complaints and have fees for them. They're not coming from residents, they're generally coming from facilities and homes, things of that nature. So that's all spelled out in the ordinance, and we got that from EMS about a week or so ago, and it's here for consideration.
I have questions about the ordinance. And sorry, since we only got the final version today, I had to write it down so I keep track of it. I think, to go by what Paul said earlier about having time to stop and think about things, like we keep hearing the same refrain that we need to slow down and carefully consider our decisions. And sometimes, despite overwhelming support from data and experts for a particular action, like with the stop sign, we need to pause and get more information. So I just feel like we're rushing this ordinance because we only got it on Monday and we got the final draft of it hours before the meeting today. And I just don't think that we've had sufficient time to review the ordinance. The concerns that I have, first is around the nuisance call charge, which I think is a delicate issue. I'm not saying it doesn't have any merit, but I'd like to see some documentation about the amount of nuisance calls the department receives before making a decision. And I'd like to have a clearer idea of who determines what the criteria is and isn't for a nuisance call. And I'd like to know who would be paying for the nuisance fees, if the department is billing the patient or their insurer. Yeah, and it might not be a deterrent for the people who are actually making the nuisance call, is my point, like depending on who's actually getting billed for it. Even if we all agree on the aim of the proposal, which I suspect that we do, will it actually achieve the desired effect, I guess, is my question with this. But really the biggest red flag that I saw in the ordinance, and I brought this up to Jerry before, was the charge for the administration of Narcan, which we should be getting for free from the state through the naloxone program, or naloxone direct program. So I'm not sure why the department would be charging for specific treatment that we can get for free. And, out of all the disposable products and medications that go into emergency medical care, but aren't available through the state distribution program. And why would we willingly place any further barriers on accessing a life-saving treatment that already, let's be honest, it suffers a stigma. Addiction and overdose does not care about class or economic lines. It can happen anywhere, even in our town. I have seen it, and unfortunately, I know probably some of you have seen it here too. It seems that the nuisance call fee is meant to be like a punitive measure to prevent wasting time and resources of our EMS, which again, I appreciate. So it kind of seems like the Narcan charge is presenting as a deterrent to accessing potential life-saving care. And again, I would like more answers to this. So are we participating in the naloxone direct program? And if we're not, why aren't we? Because we would be getting it for free. And if we are, why we're charging for it? It feels like, we're often told to pause and slow down. So I don't understand why we should be rushing with this particular issue. And again, I was not able to really ask these questions prior to the meeting. I brought up my concern about Narcan to Jerry before, but we've just got the final draft today. In conclusion, I would ask that we would table this ordinance until we have more information regarding the aforementioned questions and concerns of mine and any other questions that other members of council might have, because it is our duty to be thoughtful and not act in haste on something of such consequence.
So Anthony, do you have any information?
And I can address some of these,
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say Board of Health and then you, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so just on the content of the ordinance itself. So yeah, it is weird that Narcan would have a charge specifically. I didn't find that odd. At the same time, I think this is recovered post hoc. It's not like a barrier to access, right? So it'll be administered, and then, if possible, the department can try to recover the cost from insurance or from the individual. But it's also, I think Sherry might saying, it's like a soft charge. So it's like, if they can't pay, we just won't pursue.
correct,
Right.
correct. So it's billed to insurance first. Which is why you see there's an addition of a $200 charge if the patient refuses transport, because insurance will only pay if you transport them. So if the patient says, I'm actually fine, but used a bunch of materials, this is the only way that the department can recover the cost of their materials, because you can't bill insurance. So if a patient is transported, then insurance is billed first. Any remaining would then be soft bill, meaning you get a bill once, maybe twice, and then if you didn't pay it, you didn't pay it. You wouldn't go to collections or anything like that. In addition to there being billing adjustments for patients who are unable to pay at all and wouldn't even get a bill. The Narcan is interesting. I don't know. I mean, this is all additions. This is amendments to an ordinance that already exists, right? So these are just some updates.
Pharmacy for free.
Yeah, no,
I'm happy to ask
I was suggesting that like, you know, EMS would be like, do you need Narcan? Well, like, give me the $200 and I'll give it to you. I mean, just like the idea that you would be billed for it, for something that we should be getting for free might be a deterrent. That's all.
Yeah, I'm happy to ask about that. The nuisance calls, this comes from, and I can't remember the name of the nursing home. It's over by,
Stony Brook, maybe? This is the one by 31 by 31.
yes.
What is that?
So they have their own hospital transport vehicles. And they, instead of using those, will call 911. And then we'll get there and it will be a patient who doesn't necessarily need to be transported. So the number of those calls is pretty significant, and I'll get that actual data, but so it isn't, the word nuisance sounds a certain way, but it is based on a known entity of someone who has the ability, this organization has the ability to transport their patients. And I don't know why they don't.
So it's really targeting one facility,
It's-
like one caller.
It stems from that, because the number of calls that were being used for that purpose were then detracting from them being able to get to other actual calls.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But I still like to know, like, is it, how many is it? Cause there's no context provided, you know?
I don't think I'll find out for you. We have a meeting on Wednesday, so I will send that out to everybody so you can see exactly what that is, and as well as the Narcan question.
And are we participating in that state program? Is EMS participating in that?
There'd be a question for EMS, I think, right?
Do want to add as well, that I agree with Krista's point, though, that I think we have a suboptimal process right now for how documents come in front of us. I think sometimes they appear and we don't have enough background. I'd like to see that changed. That's a very important point.
All right, so how do we handle this, Reggie or Jerry? Do we vote to table or vote to introduce and give ourselves a month? Because we could also continue the public comment as we did with the stop sign.
This is just the intersection, so there's not gonna be the hearing, right?
Right, this is just.
We have a month to get this.
Right, so that's why I'm thinking we should just.
But if
introduce
the
it.
ordinance has to be significantly changed, then it would have to be reintroduced
Right.
next month. So
Right.
my suggestion is that, like, we just like table it, get the information.
Yeah, if there's gonna be substantive changes to the ordinance, you may just wanna table it to what I would suggest is a date certain, meaning the next meeting.
Right,
And get whatever information, see if there are, if there's just minor changes, it's one thing, but if it's substantive changes, then you probably wanna table it to the next meeting.
so do we know if there's gonna be substantive changes at this?
Well, you don't know. that's the
Right, we
thing.
don't know,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
so. Okay,
So do I like move the table or is Deb ask?
yeah, so I'll take a move to table the ordinance.
I'll move.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, is this a
Oh,
roll call?
Mr. Buda,
Yes.
Mr.
Yes,
Cole?
okay. Yes.
Ms. Hook,
No.
Ms. Sealer,
Yes.
Ms. Weaver.
Yes.
So that would be, just for the record, that would be tabled to the next meeting.
Yeah.
Correct. Correct.
And I'll send my questions to Jerry and to you, or just so you can have
Sure.
them in front of
Sure.
you.
And should Sherry get a copy?
Okay, I can have it.
Okay. All right, and then next, Reggie, ordinance 918, bond sidewalk and safety improvements.
This is the bond ordinance providing for the sidewalk and safety improvements project in and by the borough of Hopewell in the county of Mercer, New Jersey, appropriating $775,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $775,000 bonds or notes of the borough to finance part of the cost thereof.
Do you want to give an explanation, or Jerry, or?
I think Jerry already, I mean, he already talked about it.
already.
Yeah, I mean, just basically that this is required to spend any capital funds, 100% reimbursable, right?
Okay,
And the reason why we're working with this particular engineering firm is because this is in like the DOT's house of engineering firms you can choose from, and you must choose for one of them to take advantage of the design portion of the grant.
okay. All right, so I'll ask for a motion to introduce. You're a second?
Second.
Is this I or both?
Mr. Buda?
Yes.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Ms. Hook?
Yes.
Ms. Steeler?
Yes.
Ms. Weaver?
Yes.
Okay, all right, next is, we need a motion to talk about resolutions number 2026-66 through 2026-68. The first one is a possible extension of the tax grace period. Next one is the Hopewell Elementary School raffle license. And the third one is the encroachment agreement for 33 West Broad. So do we want to do those separately or?
You don't have to.
All right.
You can move them in block.
Okay, does anybody have any problems with voting on them as a block? Does everybody have a chance to look at the designs from Ms. Brigginser on the, okay. All right, so if everybody's comfortable, I'll take a motion to approve.
Move all three in block.
What's this?
Approve
Approve in a block.
all three in
In a
block, yes.
Thank you.
So I move.
Anybody want a second?
I'll
No?
second.
Okay,
Who, it was you, Sharon?
Sarah,
Mr. Buda?
Yes.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Ms. Hook?
Yes.
Ms. Steeler?
yes.
Ms. Weaver?
Yes.
Okay. Next is claims for payment. I'll take a motion to approve unless anybody has any questions on them.
Oh, I'll move, sorry. I thought we were waiting for questions.
Anybody want a second?
One second.
Okay,
Mr. Buda?
Yes.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Ms. Hook?
yes.
Ms. Steeler?
Yes.
Ms. Weaver?
Yes.
Okay, now I will open up the floor for a second comment period for a maximum of 3 minutes per person. If you have any comments or questions, please come up to the podium and tell us your name. All right, not seeing any. Jerry, do we have any online?
No interest.
Okay. I'll take a motion to close the public comment period. Second, anybody?
One second.
Are they all in favor? All in favor? Aye, okay. Next, I will take a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
I was like, leave the clock, like, what time is it?
Always in order.
Okay. Thanks for coming.